Hello and welcome to the Presidential Diary, a 30-minute weekly program that highlights activities of the President of the Republic, the Vice President, as well as key government initiatives. Coming up in this maiden edition, a rousing welcome for President Akufo-Addo as he pays state visits to Togo and Burkina Faso, introducing himself and his government to Ghana's neighboring countries. We bring you highlights of his visit to the two countries, including a special town hall meeting in Togo with the Ghanaian community. It's 30 minutes of the Presidential Diary, brought to you by the Communications Directorates at the Presidency. Hello, I'm Jefferson Saki and you're welcome. In order to foster cordial relations with our neighbors, the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, in May this year embarked on an official visit to Ghana's neighboring countries. He started up with Togo, Burkina Faso and Côte d'Ivoire. The trip was to officially introduce himself as Ghana's new leader and also strengthen the bilateral and diplomatic ties with our West African partners. In the first segment of this program, we bring you the very first visit to Togo, where the Togolese President Faure assured the Ghanaian people of his country's continued friendship and support. The President made the trip from Accra to Aflao, the Ghana-Togo border, by road. Lined up on the streets and flying the flags of the two countries were a cross-section of the Ghanaian community there. Among them is Togbe Amenya Feti IV, Paramount Chief of the Aflao traditional area. The Togolese President Faure welcomed his Ghanaian counterpart, receiving greetings from well-wishers on the street. The President inspected a guard of honor and met with some local chiefs.
Put your hands together
in an effort to improve the free movement of goods and people across Ghana and Togo, President Akufo-Addo and the Ghanaian delegation also inspected the joint border post at Nuape, aimed at ensuring integration of West African countries and improve regional transportation. The Nuape project is meant to reduce trade and logistics costs, increase intra-regional trade, enhance public receipts and improve the free movement of goods and people across the two countries.
To once again reiterate, Your Excellency, our warm welcome to the joint border post of Nuape Akano. The idea of building this joint border post between the various ECOWAS member states stems from a decision by the heads of state and government of our sub-region during the session held in Accra in 2005. The overall objective of this project is to reduce poverty in the region, ensure integration of our West African countries, and improve regional transport, as well as making sure that we facilitate the free movement of persons and goods and ensure the free flow of commerce and trade. This vision squarely aligns with the objectives set up by the World Customs Organization, and these include, among other things, the free movement of persons and goods, the promotion of inter-regional commerce, the bringing together of all agencies involved in managing the border controls, as well as making sure that they work in the same building. The other objectives are to facilitate trade among neighboring countries, improve competitiveness among the various member states, as well as reduce the number of controls on our roads within the community. The objective also seeks to make sure that we reduce transport costs, passage time our borders, as part of the coordinated management of our borders.
It is hoped that the joint post will promote cooperation and improve cross-border security while providing an avenue for information sharing and resource exchange by the control agencies at the border posts. During the bilaterals, the two leaders agreed to strengthen economic partnership between the two countries. Ghana's Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, MP, was part of the discussion.
I think we had a very fruitful discussion with our counterparts from Togo on issues to do with security, particularly border security. There was an incident that occurred when the Ghana site, which has to do with oil exploration, GNPC, the Ghana National Petroleum Company, went to exploit the Kita Basin. The Togo Navy, October last year, went out to tell them they were exploring in wrong waters. So we resolved that matter. We have agreed to set up a joint commission to look at those particular matters and resolve them once and for all. We both agreed as a matter of principle that both Togo and Ghana are neighbors, we are sisters and we are brothers. The best is for us to talk, and we have quickly agreed to set up a commission to look at it and look at the border demarcation, and then both sides can continue with it. Secondly, we also looked at cross trade between the two countries and trafficking of human beings, especially human trafficking, which has security implications. We agreed that it was important for the countries to share intelligence on both sides for us to be able to come to an agreement. But more importantly, both countries came to a very strong conclusion that the relationship between Togo and Ghana has improved, particularly since this president took over and the way the two countries are going. Before, the tension between the two countries was akin to the Palestinian and Israel times, especially between 1980 and 2000. But for now, it's very clear that the two countries are very close. The CDSF, I was very surprised. He said he had never visited Ghana. And it was like, if your fowl even visited Ghana, you had to come and kill that fowl. That's how bad the situation was. But today, thank God, the two security agencies have agreed to work together. We are looking at inviting them to Ghana for us to have a very strong communique to be signed in Ghana, where we can begin to share even practices, common exercises together, maritime exercises, security exercises, exercises even with the Air Force and all these kind of things. So we are going there, and I'm sure that by the time that the Togo president visits Ghana, we will come to a very strong memorandum of understanding that is workable for both countries.
Hosting President Akufo-Addo at a state dinner, President Foyinya of Togo reiterated the need to strengthen the long-lasting friendship that exists between Ghana and Togo. President Akufo-Addo stressed on matters of concern.
I want to build on the strong relations that exist between our two peoples. Particularly, I am willing to do whatever I can to strengthen the ECOWAS community. I believe it is extremely important for the welfare of the 350 million people of the community that we, the leaders, demonstrate strong political will to make the community an economic and political success and to make the project of integration real. I am fully committed. And I know President Faure Gnassingbé is too. With West Africa's population set to reach some 500 million people in 20 years' time, there are immense opportunities to bring prosperity to our region with enterprise and creativity. The time for West African integration is now. Ghana and Togo should take the lead in converting ECOWAS into a true regional market, and indeed in helping to facilitate the wider efforts at continental integration and unity. A functioning common regional market in ECOWAS has to be a very fundamental objective of all our peoples and governments in the region. It is for this reason that I am very much for the 24-hour opening of the borders between our two countries. This will boost trade and tourism, and then we can reap the economic benefits. The opening of our borders will give true meaning to the ECOWAS protocols on free movement of goods and persons, and will spur on progress and prosperity for our peoples. President Faure and I have to see to the acceleration of the operationalization of our new border at Nwepi.
When we return, we bring you highlights of a town hall meeting between President Akufo-Addo and the Ghanaian community in Togo.
If we say to ourselves, yes, we can, and we can do it for ourselves.
Also later in the program, the flags of Ghana and Burkina Faso dominate the streets of Ouagadougou as President Akufo-Addo meets his Burkinabe counterpart, Marc Christian Kabore. Welcome back to the Presidential Diary. President Akufo-Addo, while in Togo, took time to meet with a cross-section of the Ghanaian community there in a special town hall meeting held to pave the way for the president to have direct interaction with his countrymen in Togo. The discussion in Ouagadougou focused on his agenda as President of the Republic and also issues confronting Ghanaians living abroad. Foreign Minister Shelley Ayoko-Botwe and Trades Minister Mr. Alan Kojo Trematin also took turns to talk on issues of importance.
It has come to our attention that most of you, in coming here, you don't use passports. You use some form of ID. So we are going to engage the Ministry of Education and the universities to ensure that you are taken through the passport application process and issued with passports before you come here, so that your crossing will be made a lot easier than it is now.
And so when we talk about one district, one factory, it means that by the end of the first term of President Akufo-Addo's government, the 216 districts, each of them would have one medium to large-scale industrial enterprise established, together with the private sector. Now, just to clarify that these are not state enterprises. The government is going to support the private sector to be able to invest in the type of industrial activity that will add value to the natural resources of each district.
But above all, the language I am speaking at home is that we should begin to say, let us help ourselves. Let us help ourselves. We are capable of building Ghana with our own resources, with our own skills, with our own strength. Let's get away from this business of people always having to give us aid and this and this and that. To me, it's very important. It's important for our self-respect and our dignity as Ghanaians and as Africans that whatever we are going to do, other people have done it in their parts of the world. Nothing stops us from being able to do so if we say to ourselves, yes, we can, and we can do it for ourselves.
Ghana is surrounded by French countries, and so we must really encourage our citizens to learn the French language. So our question is, given your own appreciation for French, la langue de Molière, we want to ask you, Mr. President, if you can kindly share with us what innovative measures are being put in place to actively drive this agenda. Thank you very much.
I'm fortified in taking this decision because as far back as 10 years ago, when I led Ghana into La Francophonie, I did so in Bucharest. The decision was that the Francophonie organization would help us with the teachers so that we empower our own population with the capacity to survive in this ECOWAS environment. People speak English, but we don't speak French. What is that? No, it's not good. And I think that we have to go about it that way. I believe that the previous Minister of Education, I think, wasn't particularly interested in that project. But I am interested in it, and my Minister of Education is interested in it, and we're going to try and work it out to see how it comes along.
As you can see, there are many Ghanaians here who are very appreciative of what you have done, and a lot of them would have also liked to have the chance to go home and vote, but may not necessarily have been able to due to work commitments. Are there any plans in place to ensure that Ghanaians living in Togo and elsewhere are able to vote during election times? Thank you.
The arrangements for elections are in the hands of the Electoral Commission. They're not in the hands of the government. The Electoral Commission is an independent body which is the one that has the constitutional mandate to organize the elections. So far, the Electoral Commission has said that it is not in a position to organize elections beyond the shores of Ghana. I don't know to what extent this matter there has been an engagement by previous governments, but there is going to be an engagement by this government. The Electoral Commission, the last time they spoke on this matter in Afarijan's time, they said they are not in a position to organize it. We're going to have to sit down with them and find out what the constraints are and to see to what extent they can be persuaded to change their mind.
President Akufo-Addo ended his tour in Togo on the third day and seen off by the Togolese president, Foyi Gnassingbé. When we return, the flags of Ghana and Burkina Faso dominated the street of Ouagadougou as President Akufo-Addo met his Burkinabe counterpart, Marc Christian Kabore. Welcome back to the Presidential Diary. The government of Ghana and Burkina Faso have pledged to work towards strengthening the ties of cooperation that exist between them. During the two-day official visit to the country, the two leaders, President Akufo-Addo of Ghana and President Christian Kabore of Burkina Faso, resolved that the two countries reinforce their cooperation in the areas of roads and railways, transport, as well as agriculture, energy, as well as security. Meeting the president on arrival was his Burkinabe counterpart, Marc Christian Kabore, with a guard of honor for the Ghanaian leader. President Akufo-Addo briefed the media on his mission to Ouagadougou.
The tour of the ECOWAS countries began this because of the change of government that is taking place in Ghana in January. I thought it was necessary for me to come and introduce myself to my colleagues and to the peoples of the region as the new Ghanaian leader, and take the opportunity also to deepen our bilateral cooperation and relations which go back centuries, even before the intervention of colonialism. And at the same time, to give me an opportunity to discuss with the President matters concerning the future of ECOWAS. So these are the reasons which have brought me here to Ouagadougou, and to take the opportunity also to thank the President for coming to my inauguration in Accra in January, and for continuing to be a very good friend of Ghana. Our relations with Burkina Faso are very important to us, and my visit here is to signal the importance of those relations. So I'm grateful for your interest and for your presence here this morning. Je voudrais bien dire que je suis là pour continuer à consolider les relations historiques qu'il y a entre nos deux peuples et deux pays, du Ghana et de Faso. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Joining the bilaterals were Foreign Minister Shirley Ayoko-Botwe and Trade Minister Alain Trematin, together with the Ministers of Works and Housing, Water and Sanitation, Agriculture, among others. In a joint communique issued at the end of the second day, the two leaders agreed to reactivate the Joint Expert Committee to examine conditions of the selection of a technical and financial partner for the project. Both sides reaffirmed the crucial need to rapidly establish the railway interconnection project. In the area of energy, Ghana and Burkina Faso decided to cooperate further to ensure the completion of the Ouagadougou-Bolgatanga power interconnection supply project. At the seat of government, the two leaders addressed the media on the need to work together to improve the lives of their people. President Akufo-Addo assured the people of Burkina Faso of Ghana's continued friendship.
Our two countries are linked in so many ways, by history, by geography, by common ethnic and cultural ties, that we have no option but to work together to try and improve the conditions of life of our two peoples. That is the focus of my visit here, to reassure the President that even though there's been a change in the leadership of our country in Ghana, Ghana's commitment to strong relationships with her neighbors, in particular with Burkina Faso, remains unchanged. We've been able to do that, and I think that with the President Macron's Christian Kabore, I've found an interlocutor who has a very full and complete understanding of the issues that are confronting our two peoples, our region, and the continent of Africa. And we share so many common positions on those, as the communique reflected. I'm hoping that this will not be the last of the visits that I'll be able to pay to Burkina Faso. I want very much to assure the people of Burkina Faso that Ghana continues to be your friends, to be your brothers and sisters. We know the difficulties that this country has been through in the last few years, but we applaud the courage and the tenacity which your national leaders, led by Macron's Christian Kabore and the others, are bringing to bear on creating conditions of normalcy and order in Burkina Faso. We support those measures, and we believe that together, the people of Burkina Faso and the people of Ghana can work to arrive at that greater African and West African dream of prosperity and dignity, which is our calling.
President Kabore decorated President Akufo-Addo with the highest national award of Burkina Faso. In the next edition of the Presidential Diary, we bring you highlights of the President's visit to Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal. You can continue to follow activities of the President here on the Presidential Diary and also on the official social media platforms. I'm Jefferson Saki. See you next time.